A friend of mine carried a loan denial letter around like it was permanent. And as far as he was concerned, owning a home was just never going to happen. And he had the paperwork to prove it. Then one day he answered one phone call, and 24 hours later he was approved in a range for the exact houses that he wanted to buy. The market didn't suddenly change that day, his information did. And if you've given up on buying here in Orlando, there's a decent chance yours is out of date too. Hey everyone, Chad Gibson with the Dreamtown Homes team here in Orlando, Florida. I want to talk to a very specific person today. You may have ran the numbers in 2023 or maybe 2024. You did everything you were supposed to do, and the market basically laughed at you. And at some point, without announcing it to anybody, you just stopped looking and you gave up. If that's you, I get it. And I'm not here to talk you out of it, how that felt and how terrible the market is. But a headline came out recently that got me thinking. It said Orlando is getting more affordable. And honestly, when I read it, my first reaction was, are you nuts? Everybody I know is struggling. Every dollar people earn is already going somewhere. So I decided to pull the actual numbers, kind of expecting to prove the headline's wrong. And what I found out is both. The headline is real, but your gut's right too. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna show you what the headline actually says, but why it doesn't feel true, and what really did change this year. And then I wanna come back to my friend and that phone call, because his story here is the entire point. Real quick, before we dig in, I keep a free checklist that walks you through every cost of buying your first home in Orlando and every assistance program that exists right now. If any of this video hits home for you, it's linked below. Go ahead and grab it and run your own numbers while we talk. Okay, so this crazy headline. This spring, Consumer Affairs put out their affordability ranking of the biggest metros in the country, and Florida Realtors, the industry's own association, covered it themselves. Orlando moved up 6 spots. Now we're 68th in the nation. Jacksonville jumped 21. So yes, technically the direction generally did improve. That part is real and the data supports it. Now here's the number from the same study that nobody in the headline likes to mention. To afford the median Orlando home, which is about $380,000, if you use the standard rule that your housing costs shouldn't eat more than 28% of your income, you need about $133,000 a year, and that's household income. Same study, same page, and for reference, the median household in Orlando earns somewhere around $83,000 a year. So the distance between 83 and 133, that's the gap between the headline and reality in one sentence. So how in the world are both of these true at the same time? I believe it's because of what a ranking measures. A ranking is just measuring a direction, and it measures us against other cities. So what it's saying is Orlando is moving the right way and faster than other cities. But you know what it can't see? It can't see your bills. It can't see your student loans. It can't see your car payment, what's actually left over at the end of the month, if anything at all. The ranking is about the metro areas. Your affordability is about your wallet. Nobody in that sentence is lying to you. They're just measuring two different things. So I want to talk about why it doesn't feel more affordable. And I think there are really 3 walls between people and buying a house right now. And I watch them stop really good buyers every single month. Wall number 1 is simply saving. Not the payment, it's the pile of money you think you need. Every dollar most people earn is already spoken for rent, for bills, for debts from a stretch of years that were expensive for everyone. And to get to the closing table, you need roughly 3% down plus closing costs. So let's just call it 6% of the purchase price minimum just to get to the closing table. So on a $350,000 home, that's around $21,000 in cash. And by the way, if you are still carrying around the idea that you need 20% down, you likely don't, and you likely never did. 3% conventional, 3.5% FHA. The wall was never 20%. The wall was that first 20 grand. Now wall number 2, and I'm just gonna say this out loud because you already know it, renting is cheaper right now. And that's not me guessing. Apartments.com ran this exact comparison this summer. And Orlando came out as one of just 7 big metros in the entire country where renting flat out beats buying by almost $400 a month. and their mortgage number doesn't even include taxes and insurance. Now, Redfin's math says an Orlando buyer needs to earn about 37% more than a renter. So no, I'm not going to stand here and pretend that that's not true and argue with data. However, buying does win on the 5-year picture, and that's because of equity and a principal and interest payment that never goes up, while rent gets a raise at every single renewal. It does not win month 1, and anybody who tells you differently is definitely selling you something, but it does win over time, and that's the honest version. Now, wall number 3, this is the one that breaks my heart. I've sat with buyers who did everything right. They have a good job, a real good credit score, an honest pre-approval letter in hand. And at their purchase price number, here's what the market is showing them. Condos where HOA fees blow up their DTI and they can't afford it anymore. Or houses that need a roof or a rewire and probably a prayer. And the homes they actually want to live in, they're $30,000 to $40,000 above their approval letter. And I see this over and over again. That gap is where people quit, and I've watched it happen. And it's not because they were wrong about the math, it's because the math started to move on them. So what's actually changed this year in 2026? Well, there's 5 things, and none of them is a fire sale. Number 1, prices stopped running away. The median is flat, and by some measures, even down a little. 2, insurance for the first time in years is starting to ease. These are real rate decreases filed and approved. 3, inventory is up, which means buyers have more leverage. And here's why that matters more than it sounds. Sellers are paying buyers' closing costs again. That's someone else's money attacking that wall number 1 we talked about. 4, down payment assistance programs have funding. And I want to be careful here because programs like Hometown Heroes do serve specific groups of workers, and most people won't qualify. But if you do or qualify for a different program, it can mean tens of thousands towards that gap. And 5, for those fixer-upper homes, there are renovation loans that fold the repair costs into the mortgage itself. And that can turn some of those complete project homes back into actual candidates. Now, none of this made or makes Orlando cheap. What it did, though, is it made the gap closable. And that's what the headline is trying to say. It's just not saying it very well. And that's exactly what the checklist below is for, by the way. Every one of those costs and every one of these programs in one list so you can run your numbers, not the Metro's numbers, not the headline numbers, but your actual numbers. This brings me to the one thing I actually want you to remember from this video. If you decided you couldn't buy, when did you decide that? Because here's what I've learned doing this job. A no has a date on it. A denial letter, a lender's number, one bad night of math at the kitchen table. Whatever your no was, it was probably true on the day it was issued. But the market kept moving, and nobody's no updates itself on its own. I call it the expired no. And if your no is from 2023 or 2024, it's from before every single thing I just listed. Most people carry that expired no around for years, but they never check the date. All right, time for that story. I want to tell you about my friend, the guy from the top of this video. This was a few years back, by the way, when buying was arguably harder than it is right now. He eventually got a denial letter from his time working with another agent. And as far as he was concerned, that was the end of it. He was never going to own a home. He was quite depressed. And one day it came up in conversation with me, and I asked him to show me a house you actually want to buy and how much does it cost. And he pulled one up. And I asked him, well, how much money do you make and what kind of payment are you comfortable with? And he told me, and I told him the truth. This is totally reasonable. You're not trying to be outside your means. You're not being unrealistic with the home. We can make this work. He didn't believe me. So I asked him one more thing. I said, if I connect you with my preferred lender, if I have him call you, will you answer the phone and will you actually give him the paperwork that he asked for? He reluctantly said yes, and to his credit, he did. 24 short hours later, he had that pre-approval in hand, in the price range for the home he actually wanted to buy. And you know what? He's in that home today. And I know a part of him is still shocked that it happened. It's one of my favorite client stories, and we talk about it all the time. Now, here's the part I need you to sit with. The market did not suddenly change in those 24 hours for him. Nothing changed except his information. His original no, it expired. And that was before insurance eased, before seller credits are now back on the table, before any of what I just told you even existed. Now, I want to be honest with you because that's the entire point of my channel. It's not always possible. Some people sit down with me and the real answer is not yet. And when that's the answer, I will say that. And we'll talk about what would have to change to make it a yes. And if you're thinking, yeah, but I'm not going to strap myself to a payment I can't afford. Good. Don't. Nobody should. But checking costs you nothing. Not yet is an acceptable answer. Walking around with a 2-year-old no you never rechecked, that's really the only outcome here I'm trying to talk you out of. Because there are a lot of people out there who were sure it was impossible. They still want to be homeowners, and it turns out they were wrong. You really just don't know unless you sit down with somebody and look. So, is Orlando actually getting more affordable? Honest answer is, it didn't get cheap. But the direction is changing, and the gap got closable. And if you stopped watching a year or two ago, the picture in your head is probably out of date. If you take one thing from me today, please take this. Go check on the date of your no. Grab my checklist below and run today's numbers on your life. And if you want to sit down and check that date together, my calendar's down there too. 30 minutes, no pressure. If the honest answer is now's not the time, not yet, you'll hear it right from me. We can come up with a plan, what you would need to have to make it a yes. All right, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate all of you. Please like and subscribe. Go check on your no date. Take care.